It's podcast time.
Exactly.
Kind of.
It's a Q&A.
Q&A time. We asked you guys on Instagram to fire some questions at us, and I probably got myself banned from Instagram.
There's quite a lot.
I'm still scrolling.
There have been thousands of messages. To put it in some context, if we spent a minute on each question, we'd still be here at this time tomorrow.
That does not sound fun.
No, that would be a long Q&A. So we're going to go through, pick out some of your questions, all sorts of different topics about the cars, about the garage, about the team, about
Everything.
everything.
Some really interesting stuff actually as well.
Yes, and lots of them. So thank you very much, everyone who commented, replied, engaged, wrote something, and caused my Instagram to get blocked in the process.
Yeah. Do you have any idea where we begin? Does anyone know?
I think we can start. So Instagram actually kindly filters people you follow and people you know to the top.
Yeah.
So it's kind of easy to get started. So I'm going to actually kick off with our friend Mike, Candy Showroom.
Okay, cool.
So transition from short form into YouTuber himself kind of
Yes.
thing. And he asked any advice to more junior YouTubers, content creators, which I think is a really interesting topic. Obviously, it's a very different world to when I began.
Yeah,
even
for
when
sure.
we started the Shmuseum channel, because we had the Shmeemobile 50 channel to kind of launch from. I think the main thing is persistence and consistency and having something unique and something a little bit different about your channel. And Mike's a great example of that, right? His videos are awesome.
Also, Mike, you can't call yourself a junior creator.
No, he's now a proper
Yeah,
creator.
this is
No
proper now.
longer
This is
junior
serious.
creator.
Where do we go?
Ori Gelman asked, how many cars have you had in your entire life?
How many cars have I had in my entire life? I need to check the exact number, but it's just shy of 60. I think it might be 59
That's quite insane, right?
that I've owned. And then if you include the long-term loaners that we've had, like the press cars, I do know this, it's 78. So I should be able
And
to work it
yourself?
Well, technically, I own the Porsche in Germany, so
out. Technically.
one.
Oh,
and
okay.
then,
There you go.
911 GT3.
Yeah,
Could
it's
be worse.
That's a pretty big flex, you know.
It's a good car to like be the first car registered in my name, but then obviously after I learned driving, I was able to drive my mum's Peugeot 106, which I kind of miss because that was a fun car to drive.
So next
school
addition
cars.
to the garage is a Peugeot 106.
There you go. I'm on 3. 3 official, and then like first car borrowed from mum, so it doesn't really count. So
No, I haven't counted cars
Okay.
borrowed from parents.
3.
3. So a friend, DaxMoto360, asked, what first drew you to Ford and why do you appreciate them? The garage has a heavy Ford bias.
Yes.
It's not because of me.
Somewhere up there you can see a
There's
Ford
probably,
logo.
yeah,
you might
just
see it.
Shot. The GT, the Mustangs, the Focus, the vans, basically all sorts of different cars. And what I particularly like about Ford is they do everything from your first hatchback when you're a teenager
Yeah, your Ford
Up to-
Fiestas, your Focus.
up to supercar. Like, and they also do pickups. We've not had an F-150 or something, but Raptor R would also be pretty cool.
I mean, we had the MSRT Ranger.
Yeah, we did. We
And
took
that
it on the
counts.
run. That does kind of count. I like how Ford offers something for everyone, but also a reason behind them. Like, even the GT exists to go to Le Mans, to go and race, to go and win. So it's a wonderful range of products. I really like the brand. Got to know lots of people there. Enjoy the cars. You got some Ford history.
I grew up in Ford,
So it kind of connects naturally. Who's going to pick the next question?
Okay, this is quite a fun one from Anthony. Money no object car that's not an F50. Yeah. So what's your second choice?
That's thought about. Money, no object car that's not an F50. So I'm going to answer this question. It's a very cliched thing, right? You can always just say the most expensive and that you'll sell it, but we're going to scrap that.
No, we're talking
idea.
money no
It's-
object car you want to keep.
You can keep it and the cost is 0, but if you get rid of it, you give it back, so you don't get any money
Yeah.
for it. Then it would be a Carrera GT. Carrera GT is second in my list.
Okay, that's fair.
Singer DLS.
F50 because mine's not an F50 first. Is that fair?
I'm not sure that's
You
fair,
can do
but
that.
I'm gonna go with that.
Cheeky. So Vlad Chifor asked, do you have tyre flat spotting issues with the cars, given that they're not moving for months sometime? And I picked this question because I get asked a lot now,
Yeah.
having in the past used Kuberth tyre cushions, which we do still sometimes use when we have guest cars here.
Yeah, the
But
P1.
basically,
The P1 had them
the
on for a
Jag
bit.
did, the P1 did, the Mercy SV did. To keep a long story short, if I'm not driving them, Brad's moving them, the cars aren't sitting in one place for long enough that it's ever a problem anymore.
Yeah, and we have your very fancy spreadsheet
Which tells
that
us.
goes from green to amber to red, and that's when you know you need to get a car moving and drive
Yeah.
it or whatever.
So if I was going to leave a car sat potentially for 3-4 months, I pull out the Kuberth tyre cushions. If I'm not, then they're just rolling around all the time, or frequently enough that it's not a problem.
Connor asked, what's your biggest regret of selling a car and or not buying one?
Ooh, 2 separate questions here.
Yeah.
So selling a car and not buying a car, the answer actually could be the kind of same for both. It's based on what I knew at the time. And
Always,
hindsight
right.
is a wonderful thing, but I certainly will at any point when I sold a car or when I've been looking at buying a car, calculated if that was the thing I wanted to do. So I can't really regret it because it was the informed decision at the time. The cliche one would be, do you regret selling your 675 LT Coupe, etc.? But no, if I hadn't sold the Coupe, I wouldn't have been able to afford the Spider, so swings and roundabouts, and I did quite well out of the Coupe, and it was fun to start a new journey. The cars that I regret not buying, obviously in the earlier days when a Carrera GT was 200,000 and an F50 was 300,000 and an FA was 200,000, but I didn't have the money to buy them at that point, so what can I do, right?
There are so many questions. Alan
Yeah, there are
Spooner.
thousands.
Honestly, I've just been scrolling through while you've been talking. I'm like, I don't even know which ones to pick.
Pick and go.
Alan Spooner said, favourite long-term loaner you've had?
Ooh.
So out of all the press cards, that's a fun one.
Interesting. Yeah, I like that one.
What's been your favourite?
Pink Vans.
The pink vans. I think the pink vans is such like just a general. They have been so good.
Yeah, it's unfair because we've not had another vehicle in that category. We've had one pink van and then another pink van.
Can we count the Hennessy Mammoth as a long-term loan?
I can go back a little bit further. Possibly, my first long-term loaner somehow was an M4, and it was the ex-Clarkson Top Gear car.
As you do.
Yeah,
that's pretty
back in 2015.
Yeah.
And I ran it with the 650S, and that was possibly my favourite because it was the first time being lucky to do something like this and have a car that was
not yours, but
Yeah.
given to you to experience.
and able to run around for lots of events, and we took it on road trips and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I want to say the Hennessy Mammoth. I know it was a short-term loan, but the amount of money spent on fuel felt like it could have been a long-term loan.
You spent as much fuel in a week as you could have spent in a month on something else.
Yes, but it was great fun.
Yeah, I think long-term loaners are a great opportunity to learn different cars and to be able to share the experiences with different brands as well.
Yeah.
And for me, to be able to tell you what's so special about some supercar, it's also very helpful to understand what you get at other levels of the market.
Yeah, which is why we spend time in things that are a little bit more normal as well, whether it was like your Octavia VRS, the Skoda, or Mackie. It's just trying to vary what kind of cars we're using.
And it means trying cars like BYDs on occasion, even if people have this... I don't even want to go there right now. We're not trying to be political,
I
but
actually
it means...
quite like the BYD, by the way.
Yeah, it means understanding every segment of the market, especially those that are really taking off. I'm going to go with this question here quickly. Car Chapter 497 asked, when did you first know that YouTube was going to be your permanent job? Because I think this is quite an interesting thing. Long story short is, I probably didn't. It was taking a risk, but I think that's the same with any new business venture, any new idea. It has to be taking a risk.
It's like a job that didn't exist when
Yeah.
you went to school, right?
You know, I'm going to be completely honest. My first YouTube AdSense paycheck was 60 cents. And the next one was $3.
And you were like, oh my God, yes.
I wasn't at that stage thinking, oh, this is going to be my career.
but
But
it's enough for some ice cream.
it was, yes, yeah. Or at the time, you know, a drink or something, not anymore. But anyway, it just evolved over time.
Johnny, are you up?
Sorry, yeah, I saw a couple of people asking, where's the M8?
Where is the M8?
Okay, where is the M8?
Where's the
Where
M8?
is the M8?
The M8 took
Oh,
off.
The M8. The M8 took off. It's somewhere orbiting our solar system.
Mars,
Mars?
Mars.
the moon.
It's gone.
It's in space.
It's on a space rocket. It copied Elon Musk's lesson with the Tesla Roadster, and we sent it far and wide. That was always the funniest story. We did a video about it at one point, didn't we?
I think it got mentioned of
I think we
where
did
it
a
went.
video explaining it. The M8 it didn't have a short existence, but it was due for delivery in March 2020.
So that was
and the
a
whole
difficult
world
time.
knows what happened in March 2020. So by the time we were eventually able to get to Germany and production was running and we were able to get the car, it was July, August, something like that. And then Brexit happened in December. So all of a sudden, having a property and a car in Germany as a Brit was no longer a thing. So the M8's life was shorter than expected.
But it was sweet.
It was sweet. I enjoyed driving it on the Autobahn. It has a few good, long, fast runs.
I've got some quick-fire questions. Which I
Fire
think,
away.
that wasn't very quick for me to start firing.
Yeah, go.
Let's start with Seb Horn. What's the bigger obsession, Swatches or Lego?
Ooh,
Quickfire.
Swatch. But
Lego.
I have to go Lego.
I'm going to not make this so quick. I have changed to the pink strap. I put a white
yes.
strap on my new Swatch 150 video, and everyone, a few people were like, why didn't you get the new pink strap? And the pink strap wasn't out when the watch came out. It
I
came out
prefer the
afterwards.
pink strap. Looks
I
better.
quite like it with the pink strap.
Yeah. Johnny Connor, any plans to revisit the ring?
Definitely. Soon.
Yes.
Real soon.
Which also, Race Day 7 said, are you coming to Nürburgring on Car Friday?
That's it.
I'm actually going to just interrupt, not on Car Friday.
No, we're not actually. We're going
But very soon thereafter.
around that time.
So the Saturday of Easter weekend, our good friend Misha and the Vulcan Alpha team are opening their new venue.
Yes.
So we're going to try and swing by there at the end of the day on Saturday.
Relating to that, Adam Bill Billingham, when are you taking the Clear V6 around the ring?
Do you think it would survive?
I don't know. Maybe we'll call up Scott, SG Motorsport.
Bring him with us.
Scott, you're our pit crew. If it breaks down, please fix it.
I feel like it would be a lot of fun, but I'm also conscious it's a 20-year-old car, and I don't want to be that guy who's dumping fluids on the track.
Yeah.
So I'd love to do a lap, but it probably won't be a 100% lap.
And my final quickfire from Reflex. Would you, and if so, what would you like to change or add in the Shmuseum? So if something
Change
you
or
could
add to the
change.
Shmuseum?
Yeah.
To the building.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Heat?
Heat.
Yeah.
Oh, what, outside there?
Warmth. Yeah, I mean, we have warmth in the office rooms, but not in
Not
the main
outside.
hall.
A sim rig.
Is
That's
sim
good.
ring?
We talk about that a lot.
Yeah, we do.
We
When
might
we
have
were
something coming.
When we were at Red Bull, we were a bit obsessed with The Sims, weren't we?
And I was so bad.
But this is
I
fine.
need
If you
to
get one,
practice.
you can practice.
There might be. We've got 2 rooms upstairs.
I'm
and
going
they
to sit
can't really have
upstairs
anything
at 3
going on.
a.m.
One sim in one in the other, and then you can just talk remotely.
No. But we
Over
might
the
have something.
intercom system.
In terms of the build, I really like what we did with the lounge, with the Halo Bay, with the garage layout. Obviously, because of the nature of this big space, it's one big box, and I
Yep.
would quite like
More
something
wall
a little,
space.
something a little bit more. Well, yeah, a little bit more Zach's garage style with a few separate rooms,
Yeah,
which
that'd be
gives
cool.
more wall space and a bit more mystique to the
Yeah.
place.
I guess though, everything that you have here is things that you had planned from the beginning. Like, I mean, I saw your floor plan from when you first decided that
And
you were
it
going to
was
move
this.
into here, and everything is as it was.
It's funny that I planned it in 2020 when I
Yeah.
found the property at the end of 2020, and we didn't build it until 2023.
Yeah.
But we still built what I had planned, so I stuck to my guns.
Tiger Tea Garden asked, which Shmeemobile has gone up the most in value since purchase?
Oh,
SLS.
okay.
That was really fast.
Vibes.
Should we go the other way?
I'm proud. I'm proud.
Let's
of
go
that.
the other way.
has gone
Which
down more.
Shmeemobile or ex-Shmeemobile lost the most money in the quickest time?
Senna.
Yeah.
Oh.
Senna lost more than the SF90s lost.
Taycan? That was quite...
No, I lost very little on the Taycan.
No, yeah, you lost very little, but people in general now could have lost a lot.
No, it would still only have depreciated. I mean, the Senna lost more than the Taycan cost
Okay,
to buy.
yeah.
So
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair.
And that was a Taycan Turbo S with a high spec. So the Senna lost a lot. Antoine Abu Samra has asked, where is the green GT3? And this is an interesting topic because it goes to all of the ex-Shmeemobiles.
Yep.
And we have a good idea where many of them are. The green
Yes.
GT3, I know after we sold it in Germany. Maybe after you sold it. Based
Well,
on what we
technically you
discussed.
sold it because
I
I would
took
have
it to
kept
the
it.
dealership. It actually ended up in Hungary.
True. I
Okay.
remember.
But
But that's still quite close to home, right? That stayed
Yeah.
in mainland Europe.
I
But
don't know if it's ended up moving hands again.
Didn't we go to the Nürburgring and once saw a car that looked very much like yours, but we figured out it
do you
wasn't
remember
yours?
we had put in our spec and then changed it and they built the original car and we found that original car?
Yes,
That's
I
the
remember
one.
that one.
I didn't know
You
that.
don't know that story?
No, I didn't know that.
So I don't even know if I've ever said this story before, but
You have now.
we had ordered the car and it got built and it wasn't the spec because they basically doubled the order rather than changing the order.
Okay.
And then that original car we went to see and it was one of those that's not my car moments. True story.
Okay, yeah, that's a bit weird.
And then later on, the car popped up on social media at one point at a dealer, so we knew it existed. So it's the exact same spec, just a different colour. Exact same spec. So it's really
Wow.
strange. Different shade of green. Anyway, it then, as Anna says, we bumped into it at a track day at the Nürburgring, I
That
think.
must be so weird being like, that's my car that isn't my car.
Yes. And then in terms of the other Shmeemobiles,
Yes.
the GTR Pro went to Australia.
Yeah.
Yep.
The
GTR Roadster.
very publicly went to Sri Lanka, and more people let me know about that than we have
We
replied
got
to this.
inundated.
Senna's
with
in the Far East somewhere?
Senna is in Hong Kong or Macau
somewhere
or something
in
like that.
Asia, yeah.
It's quite interesting to track these things.
It's really
Yeah.
cool. I like that.
Kind of around the
I
world. I
wonder
know
why-
where
I
some of
mean,
the
yeah.
FF sold recently.
Yeah, and-
The old FF actually went through a dealer. It sold at Christmas time.
And the 675 LT Coupe.
Yep,
who-
spoke to the owner recently.
Yeah.
That's still
So
in the UK?
the Focus RS is for
Focus.
sale. The red RS
Yes.
is for sale right now.
Supra.
The STO was just for sale. The STO
Yes,
was
we
just
saw
been
that.
bought, and the new buyer took it immediately on a road trip with Supercar driver.
Oh,
They
okay,
went off
that's
to
fine.
Spain, so I've been being tagged in a million different
That
things.
is
It's
really
like,
cool.
Tim, your car.
It's
like,
nice to
not
see
my
the
car.
STO on the road again, just because
Definitely,
it's
because
such a cool
the
color.
person it went to after us didn't drive it. I think it did
Yeah.
50 miles in a year or something. And then the
They need
third
to be
owner.
driven.
Yeah.
Jordan Pullen, how do you find time to build all the Lego? You
But
don't.
B150.
This is how. What do we have? Louis J. Clary. What's the next classic car going to be? Classic cars is a big topic, and you get asked a lot. When are you going to get classics?
Yeah. So obviously the 914 project's in the works at Yorkshire Car Restoration. I think the future of the Shmeemobiles is going to involve more classics. There are a few things on the mind. 60s Mustang, BMW 2002, classic Mini, maybe another Porsche.
Yes, please.
Like these kinds of things. We've got a short list.
But the scary thing with classic cars is they get very expensive.
Yeah.
And you see with the 914, pretty on the surface, and then all of a sudden it's like, oof.
Yeah. But that's, I guess, where you have to either try and find a car that's like clean-ish. We knew, you knew when you got the 914 that it wasn't necessarily going to be perfect. I just don't think any of us realised how bad it was going to be.
No.
Yeah. I was going to say, this begs an interesting question. What counts as classic now? Like, is a 458 Italia a classic almost? It's 15 years old. Like,
True.
When does a car become a classic?
There's modern classic, right? There's that whole like...
I wouldn't mind some 80s Ferraris, that kind of thing. They haven't really gone up in value. Testarossas, that type of stuff.
Ooh.
Still relatively affordable. Unless you want white on white Miami Vice spec. Then it's not affordable.
That would still be cool.
We don't need that. Julian Play asked, do you speak any German by now?
Nein, ich kann nicht Deutsch sprechen.
Ja.
Ich hätte gerne ein Wiener Schnitzel mit Pommes und eine Cola, bitte.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you need, right?
He asked for a Coke and chips or something. Did you ask for Coke and chips?
I asked for a Wiener Schnitzel and fries.
Yeah. I should know that one because that's my like go-to order in Germany as well.
You should come into my Duolingo family.
Oh, this is fun. The username is a lot of letters, so I'm not going to go into that. But they said, Waymo Spotcast appearance when? And actually, heading to Petrol Hedonism, the Clear V6 was spotted on the Waymo Spotcast because I was driving it into
like
Petrol Hedonism.
Same colour as Shmees.
Yes, same colour as Shmees, but didn't realise that it was Shmees.
It was Brad driving Shmees. There are a lot of questions here. Lots of questions about different events. Yeah. Like, are you going to Car Week? Are you going to Goodwood? What's your favourite event?
Or going to different countries.
And different countries. Goodwood, every year always. Car Week, every year always. Favourite events, those two. But probably favourite event is things that are a surprise, like not expected.
Yeah, you go somewhere and you go, wow, this was incredible.
Yeah. Obviously for us, it's heavily driven by content and the videos and what we're filming, and if there's something in particular that we should be making videos about.
I've got a question.
Go for it.
Rahul Mohammed said, why no new McLarens in the collection?
Ooh.
Yeah, fair point. I've had quite a few McLarens. 5. 12C, 650, LT Coupe, LT Spider Senna.
Yeah.
But the Senna was the last I bought in 2018.
Yeah,
it's actually been over 6 years since I bought a McLaren.
And you've had the LT Spider for how long now?
8.5. Yeah.
It's crazy. Why don't you do a Mark McCann and just go and buy a P1?
Just full send.
Yeah, just go to Harrods, because obviously that's where they appear, just in windows of shops.
Full send. Another friend, Graham Davidson, has said, when are you buying a P1? And actually, Lowballer GTR, who also recently bought a P1, has said, back to Arizona soon.
But now
that about P1s in these
I feel like it's too popular now. Now you need to buy something else. And I think there was a question about that kind of as well. Holy Trinity, which one for you?
Oh,
I know for me.
Go.
Ferrari.
Love.
I'd probably say P1.
Okay, fair.
But I can appreciate the Ferrari as well. It's funny that I guess none of us said the 918. I'm just not...
So when they came out, I was P1 all the way, right? Because I had my 12C and 650 and P1. Then I grew more to the 918. I felt like, certainly in my phase of like dailying a supercar, the 918 was the one you could do that with. But then obviously I quite like my Ferraris and V12s now. So Ferrari kind of took the...
Yeah, no, that is fair. I can't believe...
spot.
I mean, just this. Like, I'm just scrolling and scrolling.
Goes.
I like this one. Can't pronounce the name, too many, weird letters. What's your favorite collectible gift that you own?
Favorite collectible gift?
Oh.
I mean,
this room is filled with some lovely little bits of memorabilia. I think that gifts and things connect obviously on a more personal level as well to what they represent. So, for example, the 4GT ordering box
that's
was
really
a big
special.
deal because I thought that was really cool that they made this lovely carbon box that had all your paint molds and options in it, and it's sitting right over there, which is kind of nice. And it connects to the GT. It's kind of special.
That is special.
I'm going to read this one out just because it's funny. Ashwin Lambo says, "You better not sell the GTH me. This is not a question, it is a request." I'm sorry for my very controversial what if I sold the GTH.
What if it disappeared, like the M8?
Well, I'm not
But slightly more, yeah.
I've got other businesses, other property, other things that are of interest right now, and there's a lot of money tied up in cars, so it is something that's always in the back of the mind. Like, I'm addicted to cars, clearly, or new cars wouldn't keep coming through. Yeah. And there are some interesting things on the horizon. But it is always a topic of for new things to come and life to move on eventually after owning a car for 8 or 9 years. Sometimes you think maybe I should sell it. I'm not necessarily saying I want to, but I don't drive the GT8 that much. And we talk more about this in the video, so there's a video you can check out on that topic.
Ryan Spots asked, why did you come up with Shmoo the Cow? Not how, but why?
Why?
Yeah.
I think the why is because when we took the GT500 on the Where's Shmee USA tour in early 2021, February, March 2021, we did 7,500 miles from Miami to LA.
Casual.
It's only like 3,000 direct, so we went the long
you
way.
just did that.
Zigzag
Wiggled
the
all
whole
around the country.
yes. And back and forth and all sorts. And one of our stops in Dallas was to go visit Richard Rawlings at Gas Monkey Garage. And when we went after filming a piece and walking around to the shop, Richard was like, what do you want? You know, same as we do here. If visitors come by, throw something their direction. And we went straight to his little gas monkey, like soft toy monkey. And then when we were flying home, we were thinking,
Light bulb moment.
like, we're about to move into a former milking parlour. This used to be home of cattle. Why don't we make a cow and why don't we call it Shmoo?
And here they are.
And here
In
they
all
are.
his glory.
And I'm just going to say, send Shmoo the Cow Shmuseum edition some love in the Shmee 50 eBay shop. He is available. We have a couple of Shmurella the cows available and the last few Shmoo 150 limited editions.
So I'm
Brad
just
is modelling here.
And
Modelling
Shmoo
them.
Juniors. Shmoo Juniors.
And Shmoo the Cow
Yes.
Jr., our little keychain guy. So big thank you, because I never in a million years thought there would literally be thousands and thousands and thousands of Shmoo the Cows around the world.
The first 150 sold out in, 30 minutes or something?
They must have gone to tens and tens of different countries.
Yeah.
Isn't it fun though, like when we're traveling around somewhere and we just see them in
see
people's
local.
cars, or
I
someone comes
appreciate
up
when
and waves them out the
anybody
window.
holds
Yeah,
that
it's so
happens
cool.
quite often. So thank you to everyone who does that. So Shmoo the Cow Museum edition is available in the Shmee 150 eBay shop. Unfortunately, due to the GSPR rules, we can't sell to most of Europe now. It's very frustrating. It's not our choice. I would love to be able to. It was voted in 13th of December last year.
Yeah.
And it basically means that, well, to be able to sell you one, we'd have to charge you like £200 or £300, which we can't do, obviously.
It's not cool.
Um,
Speaking of frustrations, this is a great segue. Really good segue. Jenkins Hector said, what's the biggest frustration about managing a car collection?
Oh.
How much money you spend, how much time you spend at dealers. Think about this, right? There are roughly 24 cars. That's 2 a month that need a service, excluding anything that goes wrong. And yes, we don't... My voice is dying again.
Voice is gone.
My voice is going as some of the brake discs and things are going. Every car doesn't necessarily do the full annual service. The more expensive ones we do. But if you think about this, between all of them, we're probably at a garage with something 3 times a month, something like that.
Yeah.
Between the fleet.
I mean, it's just whether it's like you say, just minor servicing
before
or
doing mods
major
and stuff.
servicing and then modifications.
Yeah. So it's a lot of visits to the servicing side of things, and then the cost. You know, recently the Ford GT had like 6 or 7 grand of stuff. The GT Black Series we're about to pick up has had about 10 grand of stuff. It just adds up. The
Yeah.
SLS last year also had, was it 6, 7, 8? I can't even remember right now.
Ching!
Yeah, it's
not
like,
fun.
It's like just throwing money around sometimes, and it's not ideal.
I feel like you have something for us.
Ashton Lambo asked, you have to keep, sell, and destroy one of these cars. GT8, 6M5LT, and Zenvo.
Oh, we're going to upset some brands here.
Keep, sell,
It's so
destroy.
personal.
Keep, sell,
It is.
It's so
destroy.
personal.
Oh.
Sell has to be the Zenvo because it's the most valuable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Keep,
Keep
is
has
the
to
LT.
be the LT because it's
and
the...
you destroy the
so I have
GT8.
to destroy the GT8.
Oh, that's painful.
Sorry, Aston.
That's not how I meant it, but if that's the question.
We're on the same wavelength
You
here.
have to sell the most valuable there.
I think I would
And
go
then
the
if I had
same
to
though.
keep or destroy between the LT and
Because,
the GT8.
hang on, let's
like,
save the relationships. You sell the Zenvo because it's worth the most money. You destroy the Aston Martin GT8 and then you just go and buy another one because you can.
There we go.
Smart.
Or GT12.
I like your
Upgrade.
thinking.
All that.
Turn it around. A few people have asked about Zenvo Aurora, the new Zenvo V12.
Are you
Ooh.
getting one?
Are we getting a first here?
sorry?
Are we getting a first?
No, we're not getting it first right now. It's one of those and there are a few questions on the same topic of like next hypercar or when will you get a Pagani or a Koenigsegg or something like that. I think the answer is kind of the same for all of them. The reality is those cars are really expensive. I mean, they are literally double that Zenvo or more than double that Zenvo. And the truth is, to be able to use it and not live in fear and have fun with it, that's pushing the boat out. That and the XX and the Senna are really financially like stretching. I wouldn't feel so comfortable at the moment.
Also, the insurance for it would be...
Insurance for a £3 million car. Like to give some very basic numbers, £3 million car is going to be 50,000-60,000 a year just for insurance. 50,000 a year for car insurance.
That's
even without driving it a lot.
And
like
that's a nice car. for
I
that
was
amount.
about to
a
say,
year.
like, I didn't get
You
you
know,
a cool
after 3
car.
years, you can go and buy a 150 grand car.
Yeah,
Just on
literally.
insurance.
Yes.
I mean, you
Literally.
might. Hopefully, you never need to use it, but
Yeah.
it's really expensive to run cars at that price point. Much more than like 200 or 300 grand cars.
Yeah. Mayo Peras said, "Why did you sell the 1M?"
Why did I sell the 1M? Yeah, that turned out to be controversial, didn't it?
Yes, that
I
upsets a
think-
lot of people.
Truth be told, need a little bit of change in the garage. We don't just want to keep everything all the time. Keeps things
Yep.
personally more exciting if there's stuff coming and going. I would like another one in the future. I kind of always said I wanted a one in Alpine White to link back to my original car.
Yeah, and you don't like launch specs, and the Valencia Orange was launch spec.
Yeah, nothing wrong with the car. You know, I'm glad it's got a new owner who's going to enjoy it. But at the end of the day, there are plenty more out there. I think a lot of people said, "Why would you ever sell that? It's going to appreciate, blah blah blah. You'll never be able to replace it." There are a lot of them. You can literally go online right now and buy another one.
Yeah.
It's not a rare thing. It's not like if I sold the GT8, that would be much harder to replace because that was our car signed by me from the factory, etc.
Yeah.
It's very unique. Or even the GT500 in the UK, because there are 3 carbon track pack GT500s in this country.
It's so rare.
Yeah, so you can't replace it. So that's always on the mind. You know, if I'm looking at the collection, I'm like, what's the easiest to replace in the future? The 1M, by far. You look like you've got the same question or something.
No, I've got a funny one. Roman Hines, what do you do for a living?
What do you do for a living?
Yeah,
Oh gosh, making these videos.
this.
What do you do for a living, Brad?
This. I edit videos.
You after this is finished, you go to the computer and copy all the files and get it edited and get it crunched out and help with the garage and collection. Do you want to explain what you do?
What do you do for a living?
I'm a shmoomager.
A schmoomager.
I manage
Looks after
merchandise.
merchandise, social media content sharing, schedules, brand relationships,
making sure that you don't spend too much money on these cars out there, even
Yeah.
though the audience probably doesn't like me for that.
trying to keep things in check. And there are more people behind the scenes. I've always found it interesting. Obviously, for me, this has been my full-time job now for more than a decade. 10 years of being a full-time, I'm going to say full-time content creator. People always say YouTuber, but the reality is any successful YouTube business is so much more beyond that.
Yeah.
Whether
It's not just YouTube.
I mean, to pick out the very extreme examples, right? Mr. Beast, it's also Beast Games on Amazon, it's Feastables, it's all the other products. Talk about KSI Logan Paul, it's Prime, it's boxing, it's so much more.
But you see that
Yes.
trend now, right? Content creators moving more into being business owners as well.
Even
It's
like
not
you say, Sidemen. They've got
Exactly,
Sidemen
yeah.
clothing. Eat sides. They have food.
I'm just going to say hashtag not sponsored.
Yeah, they're just
But
here.
if it riles anybody and makes you want to comment, we appreciate it because that helps the algorithm feed it.
I have
It's machine.
I have a fun one again, and we are going to out you, Tim.
Oh dear.
The two of us are going to out you. Jampan said, "What's been the most chaotic moment you have experienced with Tim?"
Oh.
I'm going to say mine. One of them, Nürburgring, Lotus Emira, the slight second jump,
That was in
and
the video, wasn't it?
it was in the video.
Yeah.
We slightly touched the curb a bit, and
I
it
went straight from left-hand drive car to right-hand drive
Yes,
car.
from-
I went too close to a curb
and
nearly stuffed
it was over a slight jump, and we definitely took off. And the Michelin tires,
Thank
they-
goodness for cut twos.
they did save us,
Good.
I think, and driving skill obviously, but that was pretty chaotic.
I knew how to say that. That was perfect. You've got to be careful here.
I was about to say,
I can see the brain working. It's like,
so
what can I
many
say?
moments that I can't probably talk about, but I don't want to talk about. So I'm gonna say when the carbon wheels on the GT500 cracked, and we were sat on the side of the road until 3 a.m. and then went to a hotel that was fully booked because it was still during COVID, and they said we have no rooms left, even though they had rooms left, but they didn't have the
Didn't have the
staff.
staff to deal with it.
So we went to bed at like 5:30 to then wake up early again to, I mean, even sorting out the tires and the wheels and everybody who came together from the car community was amazing, but it was really stressful
I think
and
you
very
win.
chaotic.
I think you win. That sounds way too chaotic.
Chaotic. So TR Skyline asks, what's the real goal plan with all of your cars? Which I think is such a hard one to answer because some are obviously to just enjoy and have some fun with, some are to own long term. The collection is completely unnecessary. I think it's often a thing, whether you can collect cars or swatches or Lego or sneakers or
Or shoes.
handbags or Shmoo the cows or whatever it is, collecting things is kind of unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like you can't use more than one at a time, etc., etc.
Also, it's hoarding unless it's displayed nicely. Then it's collecting.
So everything's displayed nicely, even my number plates that I've owned for the whole of my life. It becomes a collection. It's just my obsession. I like collecting stuff. I was a hoarder and now I'm a collector.
Exactly. OZ_31 asked, any interest in the Corvette ZR1 and would love to see your spec of the American Beast?
I think the ZR1, to use it the American way, is insane. It's absolutely ridiculous. I've actually always liked the C8 Corvettes. Never owned a Corvette.
Yeah, me too.
But I went to the launch event of the C8 Stingray, the convertible, the media launch, drove Eddie X's Z06. So
Hasn't Chiro's got one now, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Chiro has one as
He's
well.
just bought a C8
We actually
Corvette.
tried to buy one here. Do you remember?
We did.
We actually, at one point, we don't often talk about this kind of story, so it's kind of interesting. At one point, I had actually put in I'd like to buy that car.
This was one of the first ones in the UK.
And the reply was, cool, leave it with me,
Yeah.
from the dealer. And then when I reached back to them a day or two later,
It was gone.
they'd already sold it. And I was like, I felt a bit kind of,
Yeah.
well, that I asked, do you want a deposit? And they were like, no, don't worry.
Yeah.
Anyway, that happens. Ben Williams asked, how did you meet Brad and how did you get hired?
Is this my story?
Yeah, how did
Yeah,
you
you
get,
could- you
how
could
did you get
explain.
Have I told you exactly how I found
I
the
think
stuff?
so.
Possibly.
I mean-
So you put up a job advert on the Shmuseum Instagram stories.
Mm-hmm.
I obviously had followed you and knew who you were. I didn't follow the Shmuseum yet. And
How dare you?
I know, how bad of me. I'm very sorry. And a friend of mine sent me the story and said, mate, you need to apply for this. So I thought, why not? And then
You
now
sent an email.
I sent an email.
I sat down and looked at it. And said,
Do you know the funny thing was, you replied to whatever day, I think it was like a Friday I sent the email. Monday you emailed me back. We then had a phone call that same day, like a few hours later. And then I came here to meet you a few hours after that.
Yep.
It was just all in one go, email, phone call, meet, and then it was kind of like,
It's really
You're good.
interesting. Obviously, I've learning a lot more about hiring and running a business and all of that side of things as well. But if you feel there's the right person for the job, you know straight away quite often.
thanks.
So you were the right person for the job. And there we are. That's how you got hired.
I've completely lost the question. I wanted to ask it, and I've lost the name of who asked it. I think it was Will, but they said, "Does Tim pay for lunch? Are you buying us lunch today?"
It depends, genuinely. This is down to the tax side of things and what I'm allowed to. HMRC, which is the UK's equivalent of the IRS, are very much kind of looking over my shoulder, making sure we do everything correctly. So if I just went out and bought lunch for everybody all the time, they would be calling me up being like, what's this? So it's down to the rules. Like when we're off-site on location filming, then of course.
Yeah.
It's what we're allowed to do. I'm going to say kind of a funny one. Angus Greensmith said, heard your dad flies gliders. Have you ever been and did you enjoy it? And this might be surprising for somebody who likes riding passenger seat in a race car, out on track and stuff.
Being ragdolled
Gliders
around whatever track.
Obviously you get towed up in the air and then you're using thermals to keep altitude. You can have 2-seat gliders, and I've been up with my dad a couple of times, and I hate it.
Is it terrifying?
It bumps around a lot, I feel sick, I just don't enjoy it.
Do you sit behind each other or next
Behind
to
each other.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't enjoy it.
Interesting.
So I haven't done it for many years. Anyway, I maybe again at some point in time. My dad really likes it, so that's quite funny.
GJ560035, sounds like a phone number, asked, who's the most famous person in your phone?
Ooh.
To my contacts.
Ooh. Who's the most famous person in your phone, Brad?
Oh, I know who it is. It's a guy called Martin. He owns a company called Novus Workspace Solutions, and he built this place, Schmartin 150.
He's pretty famous. This is where, like, I don't know what's considered more famous, right? In the phone book are people like Matt Armstrong, Stradman, all the YouTubers.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm trying to think if there's anybody really outside cars. But then equally, company professional, Christian von Koenigsegg, or Formula One drivers. Ollie Bierman, Liam Lawson.
Question, who do you think is more famous now? Ollie Bierman or Christian von Koenigsegg? Like, if you think about it directly, right?
I guess the Formula One following, you would assume, is bigger
Ollie's
potentially
new
than
in Formula
Koenigsegg, but yeah, that.
I don't know the answer to that. Or Matt Armstrong.
So basically, what we're saying is your phone book is just famous people. You might be at the top of mine, possibly.
Yeah, I would
You
probably
must
agree.
have some other big YouTube folks.
I've got Seen Through Glass in there. I got a couple of people, but I think you might still top it off.
My Instagram DMs would definitely win this one.
Oh yeah, Instagram DMs. That's,
The messages exchanged with very famous people. But anyway, I'm gonna pick up a funny one. Robert ST says, "What time is the Q&A?"
Well,
it's right now.
I think it's about 30 minutes ago, 35 minutes ago.
Yeah, whenever we started. I've now lost the
quite
questions,
funny.
which means I've got to do the big scroll
So
again.
Nick WY said, "Any chance of a Fuel Faction rebirth, perhaps with STG Supercars of London like the old days?" Do you remember Fuel Faction? Do you know much about
I
Fuel
remember
Faction, George?
watching some Fuel Faction.
Yeah, it was basically where we took a bunch of my cars and the team and friends, and we went off on a road trip somewhere. So we did Aina, the first one, from Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia, Montenegro, really cool. And then we did Due in Italy. We drove through pretty much every part of Italy to Sardinia. We were going to do a third one, but then basically the pandemic got in the way. And we started doing kind of other trips. So we had Ringwing Ting, we then did the Black Series tour that you came on.
Yes.
We've done the Car Freitag weekend with a bunch of cars. We've just never really branded it in the same way.
Yeah, it's more just being a road trip with friends
Yeah.
rather than being like, this is the title of what we're doing.
Yeah, you draw a lot of attention if you do it as a rally from police, from difficult things. So it's more fun to not brand that up, even if it's just 3 or 4 of us with our cars. But maybe that's happening again very soon. I would like to do more with Paul and Sam. It's been a long time, and those were such good times, the early days of YouTube. Anybody who's been following for a while will be reflecting on that, and people always, I think, enjoy looking back to that era because we were all discovering the world.
Yeah.
You know, it was so much more casual than it is now. It's changed a lot.
I have a few more quick fires if we're ready for a couple.
Go for it.
One is kind of aimed straight at me. Parker Lucas said, does Brad miss his 124 Spider? 50-50, yes, because it was very different to what I have now, but I'm also enjoying the 340 and just jumping in and going. As XHO said, no JDMs in the Shmuseum.
No JDMs. People like different things, right? Some people like supercars, some people like classic cars, some people like JDMs, some people like racing, some people like whatever, you name it. JDM's just never really been my thing. You know, don't get me wrong, when we went to HJA and drove the R34, loved it. Did I love it like a 200 and whatever £1,000 car?
Yeah.
Poor.
That is fair.
You know, I had one of the like, I want to say most emotional drives ever with 458 Destroyer driving Paul Walker's ex-car.
You almost cried.
There just
Like
isn't
just
one.
thinking about the relevance, the significance to automotive culture. And JDM cars, you know, the Supras and the whatnots have all been so big in all this because if you didn't have that pushing technology, you wouldn't have the European cars getting better as well.
Yeah.
And I'm a supercar guy. I've always liked the Italian, the British luxury cars, exotic cars.
I like that this was quickfire.
I'm not good at quickfire.
I know. Luca Malbrank said, what's Brad's favourite car of the collection? But we do it with all of us. What's everyone's favourite car of the collection? Mine is SLS Black Series. No, it's not. SLS Black Series is second. GT Black Series is my favourite.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how I've missed that up. Easy to do.
Because you've driven it on track, Nürburgring.
Yes, Dubai. First time in the Middle East was with that car. Experiences for me.
Yeah.
Ford GT.
Why?
I thought it was Quickfire.
It is.
Oh, I mean, I grew up in Fords. It's like the ultimate Ford, right? The story of going back to Le Mans and winning the spec that Tim has created is amazing. It's just such a cool car.
And I now have a big question, which does not need to be quickfire, from Matthias O'Keefe. Where is your SF90XX and the Dodici Cilindri?
Oh, God.
I know, big question.
Where are the new Ferraris?
Let's just not go there.
Where are the new Ferraris? Where
It's
are
like
the new
moving
Ferraris?
on.
No, we will talk about it because both new Ferraris, we thought, if you rewind back to November last year, I thought they were both going to be here by the new year. That was the latest information. It's just been, I think, supply issues, production problems.
No, they're actually here, but they're wearing invisibility cloaks.
Okay, I missed that.
Oh, yeah. I did think I walked into something earlier.
Okay.
Did it say how?
Yeah, so frustratingly, the Ferraris have not. And it's funny because obviously we're on the Shmuseum channel here. This is all about behind the scenes. This is like what we're getting up to with the cars. And I think my intended differentiation between the channels has formed now. And it's more understood that the main channel is like proper storylines that are scripted, thought pieces, test drives, press launches, first looks, that kind of thing. And the Shmuseum channel is more spontaneous, raw, just life here at the Shmuseum, sometimes when we're on the road. But in terms of videoing, it's just camera on and off we go. Whereas Shmee is like...
More scripted.
Scripted. And if you're interested in the YouTube world, there are some great pieces about understanding what goes into creating YouTube videos, because it's more like a television show now. Like the ideation and working out what you're filming, how to script it, what the thumbnail looks like is a big part of it.
It's become so much more
And
sophisticated.
it makes such a big difference. Like, you need to spend as much time planning a YouTube video if you want it to do well as actually filming it. And a lot of people don't necessarily understand that, but I wanted to bring the Shmuseum channel back so that we could keep it raw and how it always used to be, because it's what I quite enjoy.
Yeah.
And the Shmee channel, I wanted to really be able to go a little bit further and get more into things and have proper storylines.
More creative,
I've
more
tangented
engaging.
Very much.
Massively. Where did I start?
Where are the Ferraris?
Where are the Ferraris?
Yeah.
Not here.
No, this is going to be my point. So the reason the Shmeemobile 50 channel has been very sparse in the first quarter of this year is because everything we had planned was a video with the
Ferraris.
Dodgy Children, a video with the XX, a video with the two together, a video.
They will happen.
It will happen.
We're just waiting.
Yeah.
Soon,
Yes.
hopefully.
And it's the waiting because you constantly think it's happening in a few weeks, and it isn't. So the number of things we've had to cancel and change. It is what it is.
They will come.
They will come. They will turn up. But for the time being, it's been all over the place.
Frank Fernandez asks, will you remove the screen film on the Focus RS soon?
Never.
Oh, honestly, when you wouldn't let me do it in the new Transit for so long, I was like, Tim, we just need to pull this film off, please.
Yeah, but when it's been on for...
That is different. I understand
When
that.
it's been on for nearly 7 years.
That is fair.
So Scott Veal 498 says, what does your family think about the car collection
Oh,
you
I
have?
wanted to ask you that question too.
The long story short is unnecessary, silly.
But then your dad is into cars as well.
My dad is into cars.
His
And
dad
as
loves
much
to
as
talk about
as
the
much
cars.
as they might all say to you, oh, unnecessary. Your dad still comes down here and says, hey Tim, can I steal the Roma for a few
Yes.
weeks, or can
Yeah.
I steal this, or can I steal that?
But definitely does not. If I say, oh, I've ordered whatever new car, and I'm going to drop a little hint here, there might be something new literally in the next video or two.
Oh, I was about to say, do I know what that is? But I think I do.
You probably
You
edited the video.
Yeah.
Everyone is greeted with a negative outlook, shall we say? Like, why would you do that? But I think that's why do we work hard? Why am I sitting at my desk late at night, 7 nights a week?
This is
Because
ties
I
in
like
with
the
a
cars.
question that I was going to ask you. Lexus World asks, how many hours a day do you usually work?
How many hours a day? Wow,
That was-
I'm gonna say 15 hours a day, 7 days a week, but not always. It's a 90 to 100 hour a week job doing this.
Which is a lot.
Yeah, and
that actually linked to what I was going to ask, which was, does Brad have a day off, or is he at the museum every day?
It's super
I'm
spontaneous.
stuck here forever.
Yeah, you never have to leave. It's super spontaneous. So a normal working week would be 40 to 45 hours.
Normally, yeah.
There is no
Yeah.
question that running a social media business is two full-time jobs. For you, I would say you have some weeks where it's full on, Gumball, for example.
Oh.
No break.
Gumball
It's
was
intense.
it was intense. I mean,
But-
Gumball was drive all day, film all day,
Yeah.
get to the hotels at 10 p.m. in some cases,
Yeah.
stay up as late as possible editing, go to sleep, wake up early to finish editing, and then drive and repeat.
So you've
and
done
repeat
that
and
on
repeat.
one rally.
Yes, I know you've done
I've
loads.
done it on 8 rallies.
Yeah, I don't even know how.
I think what I was going to say about this, though, is that equally on the other hand, there are times recently I had a lot of meetings on an international trip and I was away for 10 days and didn't shoot anything. So you basically had nothing really going on for a week.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
It all
involuntary holiday. You don't have a choice. You just have nothing to do.
Mr. Lardo asks, what's the most unexpected hard thing to do at the Shmuseum? Keeping the floors clean or dusting or something
All
like
of
that?
those.
of the above.
Not very good at keeping it clean.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
Between us, we just pick up random things here and there.
Yeah.
Taking rubbish out, that's the thing, you don't realise how much rubbish trash we get through.
Yeah.
And it's not from doing anything stupid, it's just packaging materials, food every day.
Yeah.
It just
It accumulates.
And if you're not on it and taking a bag out every day or every second day, before you know it, there are 4 or 5 bags there.
I
And
think
it's
if you work in an office, it's nice, usually because you have a cleaner
you know,
coming.
on the topic of famous people in your phone,
Who's calling?
currently being called by Ben Collins to stick right now. I'm
As you
sorry,
do.
Ben. I'm not going to take the call because we're mid-recording.
Oh, yeah, sorry,
and I'm not going to point my phone at the camera either because it has his phone number on it.
Can confirm, it is legit. It's in the same way I'm actually being called by Drake right now.
I'm followed by Drake on Instagram.
I
Just
know.
saying.
I know. I did
didn't
see
see a
someone did ask about that, I
Did
think.
they? So I haven't followed Drake back because I've never met him. When I
That's
meet
fair.
him, he has quite the car
It's
collection,
his
I think.
claim
Now.
to fame.
Drake, if you're watching, we want to film a video with your
We
car
would love
collection.
to come
Which
and do
camera am I
something.
looking at? Either of these two.
Any of them.
You're
We
doing
want to
the
film.
editing, so you know
We
which
want to
one.
film with you, Drake.
First fly over. The funny thing is, you've probably just used the camera angle from a different side.
Well, I looked there first and went, "That's at you." That's kind of at all of us, and this is at me.
Forza Chef asks, what's your average working day consist of?
There's no
Average day.
there's no
Everything is
normal-
different.
Yeah, every single day is a different schedule because some days will literally be wake up, roll to a desk, and sit at a desk the entire day.
Yeah.
Emails, planning, because every video and every trip has how much time spent on the contracts, the bookings, the planning, the scripting. You know, any Shmee 150 video, I spend a minimum of 3 or 4 hours now planning a Shmee 150 video.
Yeah.
Minimum.
The research you have to do sometimes.
Research, and that's not including learning about the car and that kind of stuff. But even just writing out the scene list and the concepts for it and where I think what are the hooks going to be and what's the excitement of it. Maybe there's a whole other video to do about this process behind
I
creating
think
a YouTube
people
video.
would like to see that.
Share all the trade secrets.
I've got a fun one.
Yeah.
And it's very on theme for what we've been discussing this morning. How much are the Shmee number plates worth? This is very on theme.
They're nice for me, but it's funny because I have a lot of them, right? I actually have, I think, 50, 60 number plates.
Yeah.
And less than half that cars. So
Yes.
too many spare plates, unfortunately. But recently, you know, with the Shmee ones, it was really fun for a long time. But recently, I've kind of gone off them a bit because it's like the ones I don't have. Anybody who has one obviously wants to sell for crazy money.
Yeah.
But we recently saw 2 actually went for auction, and I didn't buy them. I was like, I just have enough.
Yeah.
And they sold for £55 and £100 respectively.
So that is how much they are worth.
So that's how much they're worth. Because that's how
Basically.
much somebody paid for them. They cost £400 from the DVLA,
Yeah.
£250 for the older ones. They're worth £100. 'Cause-
Somebody made a bad investment.
well, it's economics, supply and demand. Demand is 1 person, supply is 100 plates. So
There you go.
Yeah, there's your
that's
answer.
how it works. So a few people out there own some of the plates. A couple I didn't buy because I've stopped buying them all the time now. And what happens as a result is somebody else buys them and they think that they can sell it to me and they come asking me for 10 grand and it's like, mate, I'll give you
It's like-
300 quid.
yeah.
Like I don't need more plates. That's why things like the Abarth, the Clio, the 1M when we had it, we've got a couple of other plates that aren't on cars. The recent ones are all not connected because they're random, because they're just things I can buy for not very much and
Yeah.
it's not worth it. There are things I would much rather spend money on than lots and lots of cash on number plates.
That's fair.
Castabra asked, which car has the best cup holder? Definitely not the Ford GT because it's in the passenger
No, that's
footwear and they
annoying.
come out.
Can I say the Transit because it's got like 2 there, 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, and 2 in the back.
I
The
would say
best supercar cup holder is the GT Black Series because it has those
Yes.
2 cup holders
Yeah,
and
those
there's
are
quite a
good.
good amount of space
And the deep.
for like dumping in phone,
Everything.
battery, whatever it is.
When you use your cup holders, not for cups.
No, I don't. Yeah.
The one in the Lotus was
Oh.
also really bad because it was right behind the gear shifter, so every
Yeah,
time
that
you were
was really
shifting,
bad.
you
Like,
would.
hit
But I
it.
also
Yeah.
like on the GT Black Series, it has these straps for the door handles.
Yeah.
And that space is
Oh, yeah,
just
it's
big
very
enough to put a
convenient.
bottle drink, Coke or water or
Oh,
whatever it is.
okay.
You can just slide it in there, so you don't
As
need
you
to
do.
use the cup holder. That's why the cup holders are free for
Everything else.
everything else.
I would also say the GT500 just because it's obviously made for the American,
American.
market, so they always have
Has
good
to be
cup
big.
holders.
Louis Martin, what other hobbies do you have beside cars?
What hobbies do you have beside cars?
Do I have hobbies beside cars?
I think you're just cars. You enjoy watching the football a lot. Tim is
Yeah.
like pure football hooligan.
I am. I go.
You
I
enjoyed
am-
the
I cause
football
trouble.
from like
I'm
recently.
cussing and swearing and like yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I leave the
Yeah.
room when he watches football.
At this point in time, though, as an Arsenal fan, I think this video's out in good time.
Yeah.
This sounds really stupid if it's not, but having just beaten Real Madrid, just saying, that was pretty special.
Yeah. Let's see what happens in the second
Bend
leg.
it like
I have
that.
to. Oh, there was a question I saw, and it was given we have an Arsenal fan and a Tottenham fan, when are we going to get a Chelsea fan?
Never.
And we both know the answer to that is never.
If you're coming for an interview and you're a Chelsea fan, don't say you're a Chelsea fan.
Yeah. Hobbies beside cars?
I don't have time for hobbies.
You do. You like reading. That's a hobby.
Oh, is that
Reading.
a
I've seen you read a book or
Lego
two.
building,
That's true, yeah.
the Agostini building.
Golf.
I don't really have time
Yeah,
for Lego
bad
at the
places.
moment. I feel a bit sad about that.
We haven't built the F1
No.
cars yet. There are so many questions actually about the Ferraris. It's not. I'm not surprised, but
Yeah.
literally delivery of XX and Dodici Cylindri.
Ooh.
When is the SF90XX arriving?
We're not answering that one.
No,
when
we're not.
Unity? Oh dear.
There's just so many.
Oh my god.
How long have we been talking for as well? Because this is going to be like a
We're
very,
about
very
45,
long.
50 minutes.
Okay. So,
We'll do a couple more before we wrap up.
A
Not
bunch of
quite.
people are asking for cars.
oh,
Can I have a car? Can you
Is
give me a car?
Poopy German?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
She
wasn't
said it in
yeah,
German.
Yeah.
Zach Khan, what was your first car?
Renault Clio, like that.
Yeah.
Little 1.2 litre,
Cute.
70 something horsepower.
911 GT3.
911 GT3.
No, Peugeot 106.
No, but
Yeah.
that wasn't your car.
That fine, okay.
Your first car was a 911 GT3.
Oh my
You're
god,
balling.
what a tough life.
My
And
first
you
car-
You took it away from
My
me.
first car was a Vauxhall Corsa. Humble. Well, to be fair, everything was humble. Peugeot 106 and a Renault Clio.
What were you doing before YouTube? From Abdullah himself. What would you have done if YouTube wasn't a thing? I worked in a finance job in the city. Long days, spreadsheets. Great team, great company. Really lucky that my boss supported YouTube. And I think I would probably still be doing that if I wasn't doing YouTube.
Yeah.
An office job.
I was working in finance too. Long days, spreadsheets, PowerPoint presentations. And it was
Long days.
long,
Long
very long.
days.
But they prepared me really well for this job now, because essentially what I did was sometimes sit in the office until like 3 a.m. right, and you think that's really tough, which it is. But you tend to have weekends, and you can turn off your phone, but social media is 24/7.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was doing a very similar job previously to this in a way. Video and photo for some automotive journalists. So it was like kind of the same thing. I was still posting stuff on YouTube. So,
But did you ever think you would end up talking on YouTube?
oh no, not really. It was always behind camera, and then started working for you, and then slowly it was.
And we had a really
hey.
nice thing the other day on one of the videos. Everyone was like, go
Oh,
Brad,
in the
go Brad.
comments when there was
yeah,
like
that was
10
lovely.
people. Yeah, which I think you kind of started, and then
Thank
it
you,
just went
everyone.
off. It was very nice though. It was nice.
What else do we have?
There are so many.
Honestly, it is hard to just scroll and find stuff. There's
mean-
a question here I can ask, but I know the answer to it. You have a
So-
limited budget, F50 or Zonda. You're going to say
Me
F50.
at 50, yeah. I'm just going to quick fire some then. AMSYP said all of the cars in the museum, are they yours? At the moment, basically yes, not the Gallardo, but everything that I say is mine is mine.
I'm going to cut you off because it relates to this. I saw a question and it said, how many cars are in the garage right now?
Right at this minute,
Yeah, go.
18.
Okay, and there's a few things outside.
Oh,
Yeah.
also you forgot Mark's cars here. That's also not yours.
Oh yeah, that's also not mine.
Oh, yeah.
I can't see it from here. Yeah, so basically everything I say is mine is mine.
If you had to guess how much horsepower in your entire collection from Bastian Atjak. Didn't we ask that on a
Yeah.
Whose video was that?
Satin Cruise
Satin
video,
Crew.
wasn't it?
They went
I'm going to
through.
guess it's about 12,000 or something. I'd need to check.
a lot
MD
of
Driving
horses.
Shots says, if I wanted a road trip in Germany, which road should I definitely drive over? Nürburgring.
Yep.
Autobahn. Germany has lovely roads, great place to drive.
John McCamfield said, do you have or have you ever owned a car that's not been on camera?
Ooh.
Is there a car that you've never shown?
Like as a video. So actually, this is quite funny. Every car in my life has been on video except one. Because even my original Clio, which obviously was long
Yes.
gone before I started my YouTube channel,
It's a cube.
has been on video as a cube. The 1 Series was on video in one of my very
So
first
it's the
videos.
only
The
one.
Subaru
So the only
Leon?
one is the Subaru in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Pictures of it have been in video, but it's the only one that's not been like on a
Interesting.
video. Mr. In All 20 said, what's the most expensive car in your collection? That is the Zembo. But it might be the SF90XX. One just sold on Collecting Cars, the auction site. European car, 1.7 euros, which
Yeah.
is massively over list. And
A
probably
lot of money.
slightly above the
Lots of
Zembo.
money.
I'd
A
say kind
lot of
ballpark.
money.
Yeah, crazy money. Lucas BCG says, when are you coming to Brazil? And I picked this one out over all of the other countries because with Exclusive Car Registry, ECR, a lot of our team, the dev team, are actually in Brazil. So at some point, I'm going to go out to Brazil and see them, which I'm looking forward to.
Cool.
Can we
I hope
come?
you're going to come along. We'll
Yes, please.
have a good trip out of it.
That'd be cool.
Make a full trip.
Tick off another continent.
Yeah, I've never been to Brazil. Would love to come out there and go see everyone. Hacked Jacka says, favourite city and state to visit in the US? I like the variety. That's why
me
people
too.
always say, will you get a Shmuseum in the US? Will you have a base in the US? I like going to a bit Florida, a bit Texas, a bit Arizona, a bit California, a bit to the northeast, a bit through the middle. But there are certain cities we've kind of gone back to quite a few times. Nashville, Scottsdale, Phoenix. Obviously, Miami and LA, the cliche places.
There are 2 drives I really like. One is the drive from Colorado into Utah, and then from Arizona, like when we're in Scottsdale to Vegas. It's just because it's that sort of vegetation nature that we don't have in Europe, really.
Completely
That's why I just really like that bit.
I need to do more US states. You know,
Yeah.
wink, wink.
Yeah, hint,
Nudge, nudge.
Subtle hint. God, I'm just going through one at a time. A few people have asked about visiting here, and I will touch on that. Obviously, I called this place the Shmuseum, which makes it sound like a museum.
Yep.
And interestingly, in the US, if you set up a museum, it's a tax thing. In the UK, there's nothing like that. So this is not called a museum by name for anything to do with taxes. If anything, it costs me more doing it like that than it would if it was all completely private. It's unfortunate, but basically, due to insurance, I'm not allowed to host car clubs. I'm not allowed to host visits. I love what the Hamilton collection do with once a week. They open up some tickets so people can come visit Steve's collection.
Yeah.
Alas, here, my insurance company have kind of put a complete line of, we're not covering you if you start inviting lots of people to come and visit. Maybe it's something for the future. You know, maybe if at some point we expand a bit more, and that's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something we can do, but right now, with the fact that we have very spontaneous travel schedules, with the fact that we're filming quite often or have other work going on, it's just not possible. It's too spontaneous.
Shadow ST150 said, when are we getting a Shmuseum Twitch channel and a live lap of the M25?
We've joked about that. I don't know.
Shmuseum Twitch channel would be fun. If we get Sims, we can do some...
It would be quite fun.
We can do some racing. We
can invite guests to come and join us for them.
Yeah, that could be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. A good challenge.
Scott Veal498 asked, it's a question for me, but I think, we can all answer it. What's your favorite car to drive, but also favorite in being passenger in? I guess out of Tim's collection, my favorite car to drive is a 675 LT. And I think my favorite car to passenger in is the GT Black Series when Tim takes it around the ring.
Ooh, good answer.
Yeah.
Favorite car to drive, clear V6. Obviously, haven't driven a lot of the faster stuff, let's call it. I think that is just so special. Obviously, driven the Zenva and the Ford GT in the US, and they're great, don't get me wrong. But clear V6, just the smile it puts on your face for something that isn't the fastest car, it's so engaging. To passenger in, honestly, any of them are pretty good fun.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely, any of the cars in here to be a passenger in, depending on, as like you say, depending on where you're driving, does make it just insane. Zenvo was ridiculous. That's that, like, kick back in your seat.
I like passengering in something comfortable like the Purosangue, just chilling out.
And sleeping.
Yeah. So, this person who is called Shmuganuri. This person, Shmuganuri. How many Shmoo the cows are sat in cars or around the Shmuseum?
So, 1, 2,
Super Shmoo here.
3.
There are 7 here.
Yes.
But we're not counting juniors. There are 7 there. There are 7 in there. There are a couple of random. There are at least like 30 or 40.
There are a bunch upstairs too.
There must be like 40.
Yeah.
Just randomly around.
Yeah.
Like spot the Shmoos.
Yeah, there's some like in the gas pumps, I think, over there.
Yeah. Like completely
Stairs.
randomly.
And then obviously we also have air fresheners in the cars, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if they count.
There's lots of schmoos. Someone said, who is Brad?
Who is Brad?
I'm Brad, hello.
Leiden_BM ask, Ultimate 2 car garage. Only 2, go.
2 car garage. Oh. P1 G-Wagon, I think.
Fair.
Yeah.
G-Wagon 296.
F50. Purosangue. Double V12s.
Yeah, that is fair. That is fair.
This is one. Matt Scott MTB said, is there still going to be a mural on the back wheel, or did I dream that?
Oh, yeah.
We talked about it extensively for a very long time, and I would like to do it, but the reality is to put something there is actually vastly more expensive than you think.
Yep.
And kind of awkward to do, and kind of, I've never been really decided as to how I want to do it, so it's not happened. Because it's not a flat wall, it's not something you can just go and do something with. We did talk about doing the gantry, and the gantry idea is coming very soon. It's way more complicated than we thought.
Yeah. Schmartin is on the case though.
Schmartin is on the case, so that's going to be happening in the very near future as well. On the topic of this, kind of, McCleggy003 said, would Tim consider doing another podcast with STG? And I think what's interesting about that is, yes, I would definitely do another podcast with Sam. We actually spoke about it recently. This is kind of a podcast in some ways.
Yeah.
This is what
would
this
we ever
like.
do a Shmuseum podcast, basically?
Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe not. I feel like the podcast space is incredibly congested.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then we do have really interesting people in our network. So there's a lot of insight into the industry and things that we can share.
Yeah.
So maybe it's one for the
I
future.
do like what April's garage does with Hoovy.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of almost daily talking about car news and stuff. I think that's very interesting.
I'm going to butcher this username. Akwishi77 said, what's the average time to edit a video?
Oh,
Depends which channel it is.
So Shmuseum vlog, essentially it's just watching through and just like chopping bits up. So probably takes like an hour and a half, 2 hours.
I think it's a bit more. Once you factor in copying,
true.
syncing,
Everything,
checking,
you're
rendering.
probably talking 3 to 4 hours on
Yeah.
average. Shmee 150, depending on how many overlays or how in depth it is, could take anything from 3 to 4 hours to a day or longer.
I think they're all 2 to 4 days now.
It all totally depends, and with the complexity now, yeah, definitely on the
And it's
longer
also hard because if you're in the Shmuseum vlogs, the time to then edit the Shmee videos make it difficult. Maybe there's a role there. Maybe there's a role for some help on the editing side. We'll see. We'll see.
Maybe.
We'll put something out. If we're ever going to have anybody join, make an opportunity for people to join the team, we'll obviously put something out about it. Critically is being local in the UK. Unfortunately, we can't hire from around the world and that kind of thing.
Incindia said, what Formula 1 team do you support? Do we have a favourite F1 team?
I don't really have a favourite team. I just enjoy good racing.
Yeah.
You know, good racing and variety. Last season was amazing with so many different race winners.
Yeah.
That for
And
me
this season has just begun and it's already looking quite exciting.
yeah,
So
a couple of races, a couple of different winners. Off we go. Are we going to go through any more?
I think we're almost there. One I saw just now was least favourite car of the collection.
Ooh,
Looking out there.
least favourite car.
Do you want me to start it off? Do you want me to give you some? Well, because it doesn't move.
Because it doesn't move anywhere.
I'm going to go for Vantage Roadster. Just never really gelled with it.
Fair.
Haven't driven it, but just being around it and moving it around the garage with its very old school semi-automatic gearbox is not fun. And I don't really fit.
I mean, that's a good reason.
You have a least favourite?
I think it's probably the Clio V6. I've not driven it, but I just find the seating position so awkward.
That is the end of the Q&A.
Well, that's
Bye.
We can't end it on that, can we?
Graham L 2012 said, if a subscriber was stranded in London, would you give them a lift to the nearest departure point? I'm not in London, and I very rarely drive in London. In the old days, definitely did on a number of occasions give people random lifts around town when I was in London. But these days, if I'm in London, I've taken an Uber or a tube. I very rarely have a car
if
in
you
London.
are in London and you're stranded somewhere, it is quite easy to get elsewhere. There's
Yeah.
probably a tube station less than
And the
5
city's
minutes
smaller
away.
than you think. You can walk from one place to the next really easily in London.
I have a good question to end it on. What is the motivation to keep all of this going? What motivates
Oh,
you?
interesting question. What's the motivation to keep all of this going? Really interesting question. I think it's appreciating the opportunities. You know, we are now 5,500 YouTube videos in, 15 and a bit years in.
Yeah.
Goodness knows how many other bits of content across Facebook, Instagram, etc., etc. And having been lucky to drive cars I never dreamt I could drive, visit places I never dreamt I could visit, meet people I never envisaged that I could meet. I think the motivation comes from a number of different things. Number one, it's appreciating these opportunities and realizing how special it is to be able to do this, make videos, own these cars, the things that we get up to. It's knowing that you're entertaining and educating on things to do with cars, knowing that so many of you guys are enjoying these videos. It's knowing that in some ways it's also a little bit inspiring, you know, being very positive, trying to be a kind of role model in the car world and trying to show a good light on the things we love, and hopefully that makes other people love it in the future as well. I think it's like surfing a wave. If you're in a good wave, you keep going. You just enjoy it. Like, why would you not? Because it's amazing. Like, this world didn't exist all that long ago, and it's crazy to think that, you know, the successful careers for the next generation of things that don't exist now, especially with the rise of AI and new tech and everything that's happening. But when I was younger and studying, I dreamt of a life and a job that somehow involved cars, but YouTube hadn't been released yet, 20-something years ago.
That's kind of scary.
There was no concept that could be a job, let alone a job for our whole team that can grow other businesses like ECR off the back of it, and that can be, in so many ways, part of an industry. You know, having the opportunity to be able to give input to manufacturers and share my thoughts on different things that actually can change the direction some things happen. Obviously, I've learned a lot about the world, as have the other peers in the YouTube space. But knowing that, you know, we see it, right? Every now and then, somebody will reach out who's been having a hard time for whatever reason, and positive content can really be uplifting, can really be a part of.
I mean, I'm losing my voice as well now. We've been talking for a while. But that's, I guess, what we are just trying to do is just share us enjoying the things that we love. The cars, meeting the people, going to places, these are things that we all enjoy. And I can say that on behalf of all of us, and that's what we're trying to show. It's almost like, for me, the Shmuseum content that we're creating is meant to be something you can watch and just see like a bunch of friends enjoying themselves and having fun with cars. Like that. That's what, in my opinion, I want every video that you guys watch on the Shmuseum channel to be. It's us having fun, enjoying what we're doing.
That's what it's all about. So I think we'll wrap it up there. It's been a long one. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for sticking with us.
Should we do a cheesy Shmee 150 outro?
All at once.
Yeah.
You ready?
3, 2, 1.
Cheers.